Have you ever wondered at what exact moment your life stops belonging to you? Right now, as you listen to my voice, I want you to allow yourself to drift into a story that might feel hauntingly familiar. Watch this video until the very end, because it is in the finale that I will reveal the true reason why Alina didn't just walk away, but erased everything that had been built for years. You will understand why sometimes you must let the world around you crumble just to finally see the clear sky. This knowledge will become your armor, and by the time you hear the final word, you won't be able to look at your relationships with the same eyes. Listen closely, for every word here holds weight, and your subconscious is already beginning to find answers to the questions you were afraid to ask yourself. Evening Dubai on that day felt particularly bright, almost blinding. A city built on sand and ambition reflected the light of millions of skyscraper windows. Alina stood on the terrace, feeling the warm Gulf breeze play with the edges of her silk dress. She wasn't just a guest here. She was the invisible architect who for 7 years had laid every single brick of Arthur's success. She knew the numbers of every account. She remembered the names of every partner. She was the silent force that turned his anger into constructive solutions. She was his mirror in which he always looked flawless. As you immerse yourself in this image, you might notice your breathing becoming steadier, and you begin to feel the same heavy silence that enveloped Alina on that fateful night. The celebration for Arthur's anniversary was in full swing. Laughter rang out, the clinking of glasses intertwined with the rhythmic lounge music. Arthur stood at the center of attention, glowing with his own significance. He was the king of the night. And then came the moment for that specific shot. The photographer, dressed in a sharp black suit, gestured for the family to gather together against the backdrop of the glowing Burj Khalifa. Alina habitually stepped closer, her face already wearing an expression of soft, supportive joy. She was ready to take her place at her husband's right hand, where she had always been. But in that moment the world shattered. Arthur didn't even look at her. His hand, so familiar and warm, suddenly became a barrier. His voice, casual and devoid of any emotion, spoke words that echoed in the void of her soul. He asked her to step out of the frame. He said that right now they needed a photo with just the family, him, Monica, and the children. In that instant, time in Dubai stopped. You know that feeling when the ground gives way beneath your feet, even though you're standing on solid marble? Alina looked at him and saw not a husband, but a stranger who had just erased her existence with one short gesture. Monica, his ex-wife, stood there with the air of a victor, her smile filled with a triumph that didn't need to be hidden. The children, for whom Alina had sacrificed her time and interests, didn't even look up. To them, her absence from the frame was natural. She was the background, a prop, a convenient service. As you realize the depth of this betrayal, your heart might begin to beat a little faster. For you understand, this isn't just a photo. This is a sentence passed on 7 years of her life. Alina didn't argue. She didn't cause a scene that would have been so fitting for this pathetic place. She took a step back. Then another. She watched the camera capture this new reality, one where she didn't exist. She saw the flash that blinded her for a second, and in that flash she saw her freedom. She turned and walked away. Each strike of her heels on the floor sounded like a hammer shattering old chains. She walked through the crowd of guests who didn't even notice her departure, for they were invited to Arthur's celebration, not hers. She reached the parking lot, where the night air hit her with the heat of the desert. Sitting in the car, she didn't start the engine right away. She just sat in silence, listening to the beat of her own heart, which for the first time in a long while belonged only to her. She knew Arthur considered her predictable. He was certain she would cry in the restroom and then return to help cut the cake and smile at the guests. He was used to her understanding, which was actually her weakness in his eyes. But he forgot one very important detail. In this country, in this city where everything is built on trust and documents, it was Alina who was the legal face of all the key assets. Arthur wanted to optimize taxes, he wanted to hide part of his income from past obligations, and he made Alina the owner of his empire. He thought she was his shadow that would never leave. But a shadow always disappears when the light goes out. Alina opened her laptop, which was always with her. Her fingers flew over the keys with confidence and speed. She knew all the passwords, all the loopholes, all the access codes. Over the next hour, while Arthur accepted congratulations and ate his birthday cake. His life was methodically being turned to dust. She revoked all powers of attorney. She froze the accounts he only had access to by her grace. She sent a notice of unilateral termination of the lease for their luxury villa. She did this without anger, with the cold calm of a surgeon removing a tumor. She was simply reclaiming her space, which he had so recklessly tried to shrink to the size of being out of the frame. As you listen to this, you can feel the same determination growing within you. This isn't a story of revenge, it's a story of restoring justice. Alina drove to the sea. She looked at the dark waves of the Gulf and realized that tomorrow would be a completely different day. Arthur called her late at night. His voice was full of confusion that quickly turned into rage, and then into primal fear. He discovered his cards weren't working. He found out his business no longer belonged to him. He screamed into the phone demanding explanations, calling her a traitor. But Alina listened to that scream like the sound of a distant tide. She was no longer under his power. "You asked me to step out of the frame yourself, Arthur," she said quietly, her voice calm like the surface of the water before dawn. "I simply followed your wish. Now your frame has everything you wanted, you, Monica, and the children. Enjoy the picture. But remember, I was the one holding the frame and the canvas for that picture. Now I am taking them with me." That night she booked a one-way ticket. She didn't need to take many things, for everything most valuable, her strength, her mind, and her freedom, had always been inside her. Arthur was left in his ballroom, among faded flowers and empty glasses, in total isolation that he had created himself. My dear viewer, this story is a reminder for each of us. Do not let anyone convince you that your place is on the sidelines. If you feel like you are being asked to become smaller so that someone else can appear larger, walk away. Walk away without looking back, for your value does not depend on whether you made it into someone's lens or not. You yourself are the light, the camera, and the director of your destiny. Right now, as these words penetrate the very depth of your heart, make a decision. Never again agree to a supporting role in your own life. Subscribe to this channel right now so that your inner voice always remains loud and clear. Share this video with someone who needs to hear these words right now to find ground beneath their feet. Write the word yes in the comments if you choose to be at the center of your world, and let this comment be your first step toward freedom. We are here to support each other on this journey. Your life is your frame, and only you decide who stays in it. Thank you for watching until this moment. Your awakening has already begun, and the world will never be the same.